in this day and age that there are parts of the world that still remain unexplored. But it's true. Explorers have scaled the world's tallest mountains and taken samples from Antarctica's deepest subglacial lakes. You can visit remote, exotic locales like the Galapagos from your web browser. And yet, some hidden corners of the Earth still remain essentially uncharted, home to very few people, and investigated by only the most daring travelers. In the Siberian Sakha Republic in Russia, there's an area the size of India that is pretty sparsely populated and unexplored. In Vale do Javari, Brazil, there's an area the size of Austria inhabited by native peoples that most people aren't even allowed to venture into. And let's not get started on the vastness of our oceans, much of which still remains undiscovered. Today, we're going to see 10 places on Earth that have never been explored. Number 10. Vale do Javari, Brazil. Vale do Javari is one of the largest indigenous territories in Brazil. This region, home to at least 14 of the Amazon's uncontacted tribes, is one of the most isolated places in the world, in part by design. Vale do Javari is one of the most isolated places not just in South America, but in the world. Straddling the borders of Peru, Brazil, and Bolivia is the uncontacted frontier, home to more uncontacted tribes than anywhere else on the planet. There are roughly 2,000 native peoples living in the area the size of Austria, separate from the Brazilian government. The tribe's right to live in isolation is protected by a federal agency charged with preventing outsiders from invading indigenous territories. So you cannot go there, even if you wanted to. Number 9. Sakha Republic, Russia. Yakutia, officially the Sakha Republic of the Russian Federation, is a land of extremes. It's pretty massive and covers about 20% of Russia, and a large portion of it is isolated directly above the Arctic Circle. For the sake of comparison, that is the size of India. Its climate is one of the world's most extreme. Average temperatures in January are as low as -46 degrees Fahrenheit, and most of the land is covered by permafrost. Lichen and moss make it a favorite habitat for reindeer. Though mining has taken its toll on the region's pristine wilderness, parts of it remain untouched, like the Lena River Delta, a gorgeous refuge and breeding ground for wildlife. Number 8. Northern Patagonia, Chile. Home to temperate rainforests, glaciers, fjords, and hot springs, Northern Patagonia is one of Chile's wildest landscapes. Patagonia offers a kaleidoscope mix of remote and untamed landscapes that will thrill the senses with their unrivaled beauty. Highlights of northern Patagonia include Coyhaique, Lake General Carrera, Laguna San Rafael National Park, Patagonia Park of Douglas Tompkins, and Caleta Tortel. If you were to go to northern Patagonia, Chile, you would find a sparsely populated and wild landscape. Highways have only recently made it accessible, and there are sections of road that are still in the process of being paved. Here, nature is largely untouched. There is even a huge ice mass here called the Northern Patagonia Ice Field, one of the largest outside of the polar regions. Only the most adventurous traveler heads to this region, which may be worth a visit, considering that it is largely untouched by humans. Number 7. Kamchatka, Russia. On Russia's eastern peninsula, there is a region with a crazy amount of volcanic activity. It has over 300 volcanoes, one of which has been erupting for over 20 years. The Kamchatka Peninsula is a 1,250-kilometer-long peninsula in the Russian Far East, with an area of about 270,000 kilometers. It's home to the most diverse range of salmon species and is the most densely populated brown bear habitat in the world. However, the region was closed to Westerners until the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991, and even before that, only 400,000 people, all with military clearances, were allowed to live in the territory, which is around the size of California. Number 6. Northern Forest Complex, Myanmar. You would think that humans have explored and exploited all of the forests there are to find on the planet. But surprisingly, there are a plethora of subtropical forests on the eastern slope of the Himalayas that are pretty much unexplored. During 50 years of repressive military rule, vast jungles in the country known as both Myanmar and Burma were unexplored by scientists. Many of the subtropical forests located on the steep slopes of the easternmost stretch of the Himalayas are virtually untouched by human activity. Deep within the forests of Myanmar's Kachin state lies the largest tiger preserve in the world. Frozen in time and unscathed by industrialism and tourism, these forests were rumored to serve as home to some of the world's most endangered or vulnerable creatures, including Asian elephants, clouded leopards, tigers, and sun bears. The forest itself consists of pine rhododendron, evergreen, mixed deciduous, alpine meadows, and more. Number 5. Namib Desert, southern Namibia. Deserts have historically been unexplored due to their remoteness and extreme climate. Namib Desert is estimated to be the world's oldest desert, and it's one of the driest, least populated places in the world. Dunes dominate the southern part of the harsh desert, and there are few paved roads. At 1,256 feet tall, the giant Dune 7 is believed to be the tallest sand dune in the world. The Namib Desert makes up a large part of Namibia. Surprisingly, Namibia itself is one of the youngest countries in Africa. It only gained independence in 1990. Most of its population lives in the northern part of the country, leaving the southern part, the desert part, largely empty. Number 4. Fiordland National Park, New Zealand. Fiordland, New Zealand is one of the most remote places on Earth. This southwestern corner of New Zealand is home to some of the most hostile and breathtakingly stunning landscapes on the planet. Fiordland, a vast tract of mountainous terrain that occupies the southwest corner of South Island, New Zealand, is one of the most astounding pieces of land anywhere on God's earth, and one's first impulse, standing on a cliff top surveying it all, is simply to burst into spontaneous applause. Fiordland National Park was shaped by glaciers and contains some of the country's oldest rocks. The vast wilderness is home to a unique diversity of animals, like the takahe, a flightless indigenous bird thought to be extinct for decades until it was rediscovered in the park in 1948, and the kakapo, the world's only flightless nocturnal parrot. Fiordland's 2.9 million acres are some of the wildest lands in the southern hemisphere. Number 3. North Sentinel Island, India. Located far into the Bay of Bengal in the Indian Ocean, North Sentinel Island is one of the most isolated places on Earth. Approximately the size of Manhattan, this remote island is home to the Sentinelese tribe, the most dangerous tribe in the world. North Sentinel Island basically belongs to India, but few outsiders have made contact with the Sentinelese people. There's a 3-mile exclusion zone surrounding the island, where somewhere between 50 and 300 people are estimated to live. The locals' hostile reactions to outsiders' attempts at contact have left much of the island unexplored. In November 2018, a 27-year-old American adventure blogger was recently killed by the remote Sentinelese tribe on North Sentinel Island. The blogger hired fishermen to illegally take him to the island and left him in a canoe to trek to the island. His criminal trespassing to the island resulted in his being killed by the villagers and may have now doomed the previously uncontacted tribe forever.
As God of the ocean, I get all kinds of offerings, but nothing so treasured as new fish sticks from Gordon's. Wild caught.
Number 2. Amazon Rainforest. The Amazon rainforest, covering much of northwestern Brazil and extending into Colombia, Peru, and other South American countries, is the world's largest tropical rainforest, famed for its biodiversity. It's crisscrossed by thousands of rivers, including the powerful Amazon. River towns with 19th century architecture from rubber boom days include Brazil's Manaus and Belém, and Peru's Iquitos and Puerto Maldonado. The Amazon contains 50% of the world's rainforest and is about 2.5 million square miles. Due to its vastness, a lot of it is unexplored. There is, of course, an electric biodiversity with rare species to be explored. The Amazon gets rain all year, earning its title of rainforest. But this constant rain leads to flooding, which makes it difficult to traverse the Amazon by river. It may be a good thing that the Amazon is largely untraversed. There are a whole host of deadly animals here, from poison dart frogs and piranhas to anacondas. Number 1. New Hebrides Trench, Australia. Another undiscovered trench lies off the eastern coast of Australia and about 1,000 miles north of New Zealand. In fact, scientists did not explore the New Hebrides Trench until 2013. The trench is nearly 4.5 miles deep. When scientists did explore, using underwater robots, they found eels and prawns. But not just any eels or prawns. These were different from other species found in other trenches in the deep sea. The